Hi, today I am here with Jody Graham. Jody is a productivity coach, and I was just telling Jody about how I write to-do lists on pieces of paper and rip them up every single day. So I am not great with this productivity thing. And Jody is here to teach us a little bit about how to focus on the things that matter, organize it in a fashion that is reasonable and does not waste paper. And Jody, I'd love to just pick your brain and I guess start talking about how we can plan our days as business owners to get more done.
Definitely. Yes, it feels good to rip up a to-do list at the end of the day, but only when you get it all done. You know,
Yeah.
when
I don't. I cross that one thing. I'm like, time to rewrite it and just write it without that one thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, us online business owners have so much going on. It's so vital to have a plan. Even if you consider yourself to not be a planner, quote unquote planner, it's really easy, to put a plan in place for your day and to organize yourself so that you do get more done. You feel calmer and you can get it all done with more, calm and ease around it. So, I mean, I want to touch a bit more on that about like why planning is so important. Because winging it every day without a plan or strategy can really paralyze us and stop us from even getting started or taking action in the first place. Because it's just really overwhelming to store all of your goals and projects and to-dos in your head. You're going to spend a lot of time and energy that way just trying to remember everything, and not to mention sort through it all each day. Like, our brains weren't meant to try and constantly remember stuff, right? They're meant to come up with ideas and solutions and problem solve and that kind of thing, but they're not meant to constantly try to remember everything. So, I'm sure a lot of your listeners can relate to how difficult it is to take action on something that just lives in your head. And then also having a plan just makes things tangible. It makes everything real and tangible, and then in turn holds you accountable to them, because it's really easy to say, oh, I didn't set that goal or plan to do that thing or intend to do that anyway, when it's just in your head. But when it's written on paper, it just makes it so much more real. And you set that intention by writing it down to work towards something. You know the goal. It's very clear what the end point is and what you want to achieve. And when you have that clarity, it's just easier and more natural to take steps and actions towards achieving it. Also, there's a lot of time wasted in the morning, as I sort of touched on at the beginning, without a plan, not knowing how to start your day or what's on your plate or where to just start and what to do first. So you spend tons of time and energy trying to decide, right? Trying to remember, help, like making your brain remember all this stuff, and then trying to decide what's most important and what to do next, and then what's next, and so on through the whole day. It's just so, I'm like tired just saying that.
Yeah.
So
It makes the day start off with overwhelm.
Yes, exactly. And that can be very frustrating and demotivating, the opposite of motivating. Because being in that constant decision making mode is just really exhausting and inefficient. And
Yeah.
it's actually known as decision fatigue, for anyone who hasn't heard of that. Like, the more decisions you have to make throughout your day, the more tired your brain just becomes. And it just becomes harder and harder and harder to make decisions until you just stop. You just don't make any more decisions because you're so exhausted. Yeah, and then it just becomes so hard to make even the simplest decisions.
Oh,
So planning is also important because it frees up your brain space, as I touched on, also to focus on the task at hand, so you can get it done quicker. You can get it done better, because if all those ideas and stuff are just floating in your head, and those to-dos, they will distract you and pull you away in the moment. So by eliminating some of those decisions up front with your plan, your brain can just get and stay focused on what you're working on.
and how often do you make decisions? Do you have a decision day of the week?
I plan each day. I mean, there's tiered planning. So there's like planning sort of out your quarter, which is a little more long term. I don't like to personally plan more than that because that's really long term. So I plan sort of top line quarter, and then by month, and then by week. I set priorities by my week, and then each day I plan. And that sounds like a lot, but really, when you do it up front like that, it doesn't take much time. And by the time you get to your daily plan, you only need like 5 minutes to decide, what am I going to do with this day, with tomorrow, right? Because I recommend planning at the end of the day for the next day, because you're clear on where you're at, where you've left off. So yeah, it only takes 5 minutes each day to make those decisions, and then you're good to go for the day.
Okay. Oh, I'm so curious to see your templates now. Is it so do you offer people templates where it's like day planning, week
Yes,
planning?
for sure. Yeah,
Oh,
I have monthly and weekly and daily planners. And my daily planner is where I really start with people. Like it actually works the other way. It trickles down from your monthly plan to your weekly
yeah.
daily plan. But I start people off with the daily plan to just because it's still easy to do. And it gives you, when you plan one day and you see how well it goes and how much more ease there is in your day, yeah, it just feels really good. So it really helps motivate people to plan more. So yeah.
Yeah. I find it's really difficult to keep track and keep organized with the plan because I have the big vision, I have the
Yeah.
quarter, and then I have the little bite-sized tasks, but I don't reconcile them. So
Mhm.
then sometimes, a week goes by, a month goes by, and
Yeah.
you're doing a lot and you just don't know what project it's for and what the long-term goal is anymore when there's so much going on. Do you have a way of making sure everything stays siloed?
Yes, that's what the templates are for. And when you do just the act of writing it down, right, on any template, on anything, is helpful for that siloing. And by the time you get to the daily plan, you're choosing your one main priority for that day. And then, like you can't work on one thing all day. Like, let's be realistic. So I say, choose your one priority. That's the thing, you start with in your day, the thing you're going to spend the most time on, that's definitely going to get done. And then you choose 3 other, tasks to work on that day, projects or tasks. And that's where the breakdown comes in. So it's very, very focused by the time you get to your daily plan. If that's
Okay.
the question. Yeah.
And where does strategy come in? Because I know with decisions and productivity, there's going to be overlap with, like, we need to pick the most important things to do.
Yeah. Yes, and that comes from, you have your big vision, which is the first huge important step. You have the big picture goal, vision, what you want, and then the strategy is in the priority setting. And I have a freebie that people sign up for. It's the Priority Boot Camp. It's a 5-day priority boot camp. So it teaches people how to start setting those priorities and deciding what is important and what's just busy work versus what's just distraction stuff. What's
Yeah.
really important, what shouldn't really be on that priority list. So it comes in the priority setting. That's the strategy.
Are there certain busy work tasks that you see a lot of with your clients?
Yeah. And even with myself in the past,
Okay.
website, tweaking is a big one. Like, oh,
Oh my
I have to
God. Yeah.
update this page now and that page and add this whatever plugin that does something totally not relevant or important. um, yeah, it's easy to get sucked into that because it's easy. I mean, not everyone loves tech. Website tweaking is one example, but yeah, it can be easy to just add a plugin. You see other people's cool websites and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna add that and do this and update my about page and stuff. And I mean, when you think about it, does it have, what kind of impact does that have? Usually not a lot, at least not immediate, right? Anyways, so it's
I That is my big problem. That's my busy work Achilles heel. I got Thrivecart. Do you use
Mhm.
Thrive? Yeah.
I don't.
And
I've heard a lot about it. I don't use it.
okay. Well,
Mhm.
the favicon for Thrivecart is teal. It's this
Mhm.
teal color.
Okay.
And you can change it with the payment page, but not the the course page. And
Mhm.
that bugged me so much. So I had to change my brand color so that I had that one teal color that I could add to my
Oh,
favicon so it at least blended in.
yeah.
And it was hours, days of work that did nothing. Nobody noticed,
Yeah.
I don't think. But yeah, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I totally relate to
Yeah. You're aware of it. That's the first step. Yeah.
that.
Yeah, something to put on, like things like that, you want to get them done. I don't want to say don't do them, like they're totally not important, just forget about it. Like if you want it that, color, you want that color, that's fine. I often recommend like a separate sort of like low energy list, I guess you can call it, like write down things like that where you don't need a lot of energy. And when you're just sitting around and you do have that decision fatigue, or it's just the end of the day and you're tired, or it's the weekend or whatever, do those things on like some of those things, right? Again, you want to manage the time around them and set some boundaries. You don't want to be spending hours changing the color. But I like to have that low energy list on the side just for those times when I'm like, hey, I've done a lot of hard work. I finished my priority for the day kind of thing. And now maybe I'll just work on this fun little thing I want to do.
Okay. So there's a low energy list. Is there a medium energy list and a high energy? How many lists are we talking?
No, just the low energy. There's like daily plan is your medium and high energy list. And your priority is the high energy. That's what you do when you have the most energy during the day. And then there's just a low energy list for the side. Kind of like a reward for, I think of it as a reward for finishing all my high energy stuff, my priority stuff, right? It's like, I started with that, I did it, now I'll go to my low energy stuff.
Yeah, now you can go do compulsive tweaking, but it doesn't matter. Okay, can we get nerdy about tools? What kind of productivity tools do you use in like real life and virtually?
Yeah, I am very old school. I don't, I tell people I don't, subscribe to any specific online tools. Like there's Trello and Asana and all this other stuff. Those are great, but I really help people with like the foundations of setting those priorities, knowing how to set priorities and make those decisions about what is most important, and then how to plan their time most effectively so they can do all the stuff they want to do and make the most of their time and do it calmly. It's all about the calm. So I use a paper planner all the time. So I can't remember, Day Designer, I think is the one I have for 2022. It's beautiful. It's very colorful. So I get, a nice, like simple, but like attractive to me looking planner. So it's just nice to have around. Yeah. And that's where I put all my thoughts and deadlines, and just, that's the basis for everything. That's sort of like my brain dump where everything goes. And I refer to that when I'm setting my shorter term plans. I think pen and paper is just the best way to start, because I've seen people spend a lot of time trying to decide what online tool is right for them. And they have a lot of similarities and a lot of differences, and it can be just very confusing. So I feel like once you know the foundations and have like a system in place for priority setting and planning, then you can figure it out better and more easily.
Yeah, that's some of the busy work again. Trying to decide on what tech tool to use and doing all the research.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we talk a little bit more about your daily to-do list template? Because it sounds like there's a lot involved, like in a good way, like for the day, the week, the month, and this is a freebie that you offer. Awesome.
The daily
Tell
plan.
me a little bit about it.
Yeah, for sure. The daily planner, it's just a 1-page template, and that's the freebie. So the components are, there's one main priority, there's space on it for one main priority for your day. So you choose and write down your priority for the day at the very top, because again, you don't want to stretch yourself too thin, one priority per day. And that's the thing you do when you have the most energy. Usually first thing in the morning is when people have the most energy. And you do that first. And then there's space on the daily planner below that for the other, like 3 other things, 3 other, sub priorities, if you want to call them that, to get done that day. Because again, we can't realistically really work on one thing all day usually. So you have your priority, that'll take 2 to 3 hours or something like that, whatever amount of time it is. There's no formula for that. And then you'll have your next top 3 things to get done for the day. And then also on the daily planner below that, you'll have a breakout space for the broken down tasks. Like you were saying, you have your big picture vision, and then you have a bunch of broken down tasks. So you'll write down all the broken down, very small, specific tasks related to the top priority and those other 3 tasks for the day. So when you look at those, the rule of thumb is, each broken down task should take about 5 to 30 minutes each around. Not much time is the point. Each of them should take very little time, and you should know exactly what you have to do when you look at them. There's no question. So there's no hesitation or resistance or oh, I'll come back to this later because I don't know exactly what to do. Like when you look at those tasks, you know exactly what needs to get done. And then I also have space, which is kind of fun, on the daily planner for gratitude and wins, just to remind yourself and be conscious of, you know, what you're grateful for and some successes you've had recently, because that's just good. It's just dopamine, right? Like a dopamine
Yeah,
hit to remember all the good stuff you've done, because you know, planning and writing out a daily to-do list, you can get caught up in and
just
rip it
looking
up.
up
Yeah,
instead of looking back.
exactly. Yeah, get frustrated and be like, oh, this is all the stuff I haven't done. I have so much to do. So just remembering, yeah, the good stuff too.
Awesome.
Yeah, which helps a little bit. And then there's just some blank space at the bottom, because if, you know, ideas come all the time, unplanned, they come spontaneously. So I have white space for you to write those things down in the moment. So you can just write it down, forget about it, and then stay focused on the task at hand. Because then again, your brain's not trying to remember it, which is very distracting. So just write it down in that white space. You can come back to it later.
That sounds awesome. I'm
Yeah.
gonna grab it. And then you have the priority challenge.
Yes, that's another freebie. It's on my
That's
website. Yeah, under freebies. It's just 5 days. Yeah, how to set priorities and figure out what those are.
Great name.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have one more piece of advice before we head out?
I would say just give planning a try if you're resistant to it, and test and tweak with it too. Like there's no, you know, different things work for different people. There's no one way to do it. So don't feel like if you've watched this and you've listened to how I plan my day and what's on my daily planner, you've listened to someone else and how they do it, that's what you have to do. Like you don't have to fit into a tight box. Yeah, just like take what works for you, as long as you are taking that 5 minutes to plan your day.
Yeah.
Some kind of plan, set the priority, you know, break down those tasks. That's cool. Whatever works for you. Yeah, just test and tweak different ways of doing it until you find what works for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jody. This was eye-opening for me, and I will grab your tracker and try to do things differently than rip up paper and throw it on the floor every day.
Good.